Adam Zundel at the Mountain East Conference, joined now by Charleston head coach Chris Grassie. Coach, number one team in the country. Once again, does it feel any differently this year?
It does. Yeah, it does. I mean, this year we felt like, you know, we were the best team in the country. We are the best team in the country. That's the goal, is to try to be there. Um, we're trying to obviously win a national championship. So last year was great because it was, sort of making up for the bad year in 13 when we had higher expectations than where we actually finished. So 2014, when we got there, it was like, yes, but now we realize you don't really get a trophy for being number one in the country. You don't really get anything. So it's kind of like taking it in our stride, and the boys are, they're just getting on with business now.
So it's a little bit, last year was the first team to ever be ranked number one in Charleston history, and there was a lot to be proud of and celebrate, and it's still that way today, but it's still just more in stride.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to kind of make history and kind of break records and things like that. But at the end of the day, there's one trophy that we really won. Anything else is a little bit less. How can I say? It's less celebratory.
Sure, sure. Well, and I know that rankings, particularly at this point in the season, are very arbitrary, but it is worth noting that three Mountain East Conference teams are ranked, and the Mountain East teams have done very well in non-conference competition. Tell me a little bit about, playing in this league.
Yeah, it's a good league, and I think, firstly Notre Dame, Mac and Call up there have done a great job with their team. They're always tough to play, and they've got a really good team. We played them the other day, and they were missing a couple of their best players, so it's going to be great to play them at full strength, hopefully, when we come up there to really have a clash with the Titans. Nick at Urbana has done a tremendous job this year, recruiting some exciting attacking talent and really putting it to, the out-of-conference teams. So it's great to see, and, I mean, hopefully, we talked about it at the conference meeting. How do we get through again? We just got to win, so hopefully we can get three teams in this year. Hopefully this is our year to kind of get one over on the PSAC.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about your guys' performance. And the one thing that was amazing last year was, despite Augusto and Will scoring a lot of goals, was a lot of the depth. Now this year, that seems to kind of be once again the trademark. I think 7 guys with at least 2 goals, so tell me a little bit about the contributions. Goals are an easy metric, but all the contributions that you're getting offensively, and how difficult that means it makes it for other teams to kind of dissect you.
Yeah, we definitely have, the saying is horses for courses. We have, different types of players for different types of situations. I mean, a great example is, last year we had Lewis Osborne and Renan Ramos, who basically split time on the left wing. Now Renan comes underneath, he's a little bit more looking to play the futsal side. Lewis a bit more of a traditional sort of winger. He'll get at you, use his left foot, use his right foot. So they were sort of two different styles of left wingers. So it's great to play one and then the other. And this year we've continued that all over the field, and we've had Felipe Antonio has just been tremendous coming out the boxes. We knew we would after he's settled in last year, and he gives us a different dimension, whether he's playing in the 9 or the 10 or on one of the wings. We have Will Roberts. We also have new kid Patrick, who's done very well coming in as number 10 and really been a provider. He's been injured for the last few games, so we haven't got to see him play so much, but we're looking forward to getting him back. And then guys like Mikey Barrowling in the midfield, who wasn't a starter last year, but it makes my job very, very difficult because he comes in, provides assists from the defensive midfield position, big wing balls, and then we've got Connor and Hags, guys who were mainstays last year, who are also playing well at this point. So it's really tough for a coach, and sometimes honestly you can toss a coin and start 40 guys as a start, 15, 16 guys, which is it's great. It's a great headache to have, but it's also it's the man management of the staff here, trying to keep everybody's spirits up and keep everybody buying in. Okay, if you only play 45 minutes today, you've got to give it all. So I mean, it really is fantastic because we have many different players, lots of diversity, lots of different cultures, lots of different styles of play. So we have lots of different solutions. You look at all those different upbringings and all the different ideas of the game, and we can just find solutions. If the Brazilian guy's not working for us, then maybe it's an English guy. If the English guy's not working, maybe it's a Canadian guy. Maybe it's a French guy. Maybe it's an American guy. You find like the different work rates and the different views of the game. It's great to draw from all of that experience to put a winning team on the pitch.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm assuming that teams are trying to figure out a way to slow you guys down, and that's where maybe the solution or the questions, I guess, come when you're trying to find solutions. What are teams doing to try and are teams taking a different approach to you this year than they did last year?
No, not really. I mean, I think we thought with our results last year we would kind of have like every team would want to play the number one team. Every team would want to kind of get up for it. But we found that once we scored that first goal, there's sort of a real sort of mental sort of drop in the opponents, and they're generally not every team. I mean, teams have different strategies and based on their personnel, but I find a lot of teams will just come and sit in. They'll come and try and put 10 men behind the ball and try and stifle us that way. We've had a lot of success early in the game. We've kind of won the game by halftime a lot of the time. So the second half has basically just been be a few goals up and the other team still just defending and defending. So it can be frustrating for us, like run up the score, but credit to the team. They've come in, on I guess damage limitation exercise sometimes. Not every team, and they've just try to keep the score down and try to stifle us, which is gives us a challenge.
I want to go back to the depth standpoint, and you talked about, just now talking about being ahead at halftime. The college soccer season is so compressed, and it makes it very difficult to withstand a full season, and many teams try to do it with just 11, 12, 13, 14 guys, and you were talking about you could start 15 or 16. So tell me a little bit about the benefit of having that depth, in addition to having all those different styles, but just surviving the season.
Yes, I mean, surviving the season is tough. Obviously, the college soccer season is too short. Preseason is ridiculous. I mean, we had 6 guys missing all preseason because of injuries, but it's really, they're missing 2 weeks. They have a slight muscle strain, but they don't get to have any preseason because it's too short, and it doesn't prepare them for the rigors of the season, being compact and compressed like that. Having the depth is great because we can look at a guy and maybe he's just got a slight muscle strain because they all pick up little bands and bruises and knocks. So we can just kind of say, okay, well, we've got a run of winnable games coming up, so we're going to rest. You're going to rest this guy this time, and another guy another time. We rested a few guys against Concord, so they could be fit for Notre Dame, which is a great luxury to have because the guy stepped in, maybe outperformed or did better than the guy they were replacing. So that strength and depth is great. And you have to have it in college. I mean, look at the greats in college soccer. You look at Sasho Maryland, you look at Bobby Clark, who just won national championship 2 years ago. He's rotating guys all the time, and I think it's the way you have to go for college. Obviously, you need to have the depth, and some schools don't have the luxury of the depth. But I think if you've got it, you really have to use it to just keep everybody firing. And I'll say that. I mean, I learned that in the national championship game last year. You played Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday, or Thursday, Saturday, or whatever it turned out to be. You've got 1 day rest, So generally, the college cup, the college final is rubbish. It's a terrible game of soccer because everybody's tired. Everybody's banged up at the end of the season. You've just played like less than 48 hours before. So I think the rotation has to come into it. You have to kind of put fresh legs in. You have to trust guys who maybe haven't started 75% of the game. You have to trust those guys to go out and get it done for you.
All right, you mentioned a little bit about the national championship game last year, but I want to take an overall approach as you've had some time and distance away from that season, and I don't expect you to reflect a whole lot right now in the middle of this season. Still too soon. But what maybe are some lessons that you learned? And we talked about the number 1 ranking and kind of going in stride with that. What are some maybe lessons that you learned going through that entire season last year that you're kind of, listening to now, I guess?
I mean, I think we definitely have to have. We tend to play like a brand of soccer that's very possession oriented. We try and keep the ball, but the conditions in the final weren't really set up to possess the ball with all the wind and the rain and just basically the tiredness of the players and stuff. We should have maybe been a little bit more tactically astute at the beginning of the game. Maybe played some territorial soccer, being a little bit tighter at the back, instead of playing this expansive open game. But I could second guess it all day. I think we had a philosophy that won us 22 games, and you kind of stick with that. So just having backup plans and kind of taking into account, hopefully if we get there this year, I think just taking into account how quickly those two games come at the end and how you might have to adapt your style and change your style a little bit, just to manage the conditions. I mean, hopefully if we get there, knock on wood, Florida's a little bit nicer weather and more conducive to our style of play.
All right, the last thing I want to ask you about is I'm seeing these graphics all the time of the VD Sport information. Tell me a little bit about that program and how that data is acquired and how useful it is to you as a coach.
It's extremely useful. It's VX Sports. It's coming out of New Zealand. It's basically what Chelsea are wearing, that type of stuff. Real Madrid, so Maryland wearing it against UCLA the other day. It's a GPS chip that also has a magnetometer, so it can do twist, it can do step rate, it does acceleration, deceleration, and then there's a heart rate monitor on the chest. So it comes in a sort of a sport bra type contraption, and you just put it on. And how we use the data, I mean, you can tell, how far guys run in practice. You know which exercises are going to spike the heart, which ones are guys can cruise through. And then in games, we can get the live data, pull the live feed, and see how far somebody's run by half time, how far, how high people's heart rate are compared to their usual, rate. So we can tell whether, these guys, whether they're hurt, whether they're tired. They'll tell me they're fine. They want to play. I'm okay. So we'll be able to have a better understanding of the data. We'll be able to, look at mile accumulation and see how far the guys have run in the season. So we really know. We can pull anybody's up and see how far they ran every training session, every game. So, to see somebody who's 5, 6, 7 miles ahead of everybody else, maybe they need a little break. Maybe they're really trying hard to get in the team. They don't perform well. A guy like Michael Haggerty, for example, he's not going to start tonight, but he works his socks off every time he's in, and we think, okay, well, it might be good to sort of edge him back a little bit, maybe limit his minutes in this game because he's been such a high performer in the last 2 games. So it helps the coach's eye. You can look and you can see, okay, he looks a bit tired, he looks a bit down, and then when you see it in the numbers, it's really it's really helpful to have the backup data to say to the players, look, you're just not running as much in the second half, or your average sprint speed went down during this portion of the game, so that's why we brought you up.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm looking at those graphics, and I don't think people realize your leader has run a 10K, I think, in each of the last few matches, and you're talking about, 6 miles or so, or north of 6 miles, and then we're talking also about turning around and playing in a couple of days, and how difficult that is. So it's just an interesting. How long have you had that? Is this the first season of that data?
First season, yeah. So we brought it in. We had it for day 1 of pre-season. So when we put them through the fitness test, that gave us a good baseline for everybody, and then we can just use it from there. The idea is that the guys get fit before they come in. Obviously, because the pre-season was too short for us to do anything reasonable in that time. But then we can just monitor. We can see based on heart rate, based on distance covered. We can see if they're fit or not. That's you can't hide anymore. It's been good. I mean, it's just been good for the program to go. And I think with 10K, when the guys run 10K, they haven't played 90 minutes. The defenders, you're looking at maybe the centre back will run 10K, but if you play centre midfield for 90 minutes, you're going to run 11, 12K. So we try and pull those guys off for 10 minutes, so they're saving a couple of K at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right, Coach, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks so much for being with us here, and congratulations on the #1 ranking. I know right now you want to be holding that trophy at the end of the year, but still noteworthy accomplishment.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Take care.